To you through the generosity of our partners in progress. Northwest Arkansas Community College, the College at the Crossing, Bella Vista Center. Envy Salon, specializing in cuts and color in Fayetteville. A.G. Russell Knives in Rogers. The Bank of Gravette, caretakers of the Arkansas spirit. The Tuscan Trotter American Brasserie, just off the square in downtown Bentonville. Discount Smokes and Liquors at the state line in Jane, Missouri. Hoffman Realty in Bella Vista. It's the Out of the Norm Show. Stories about people, places, things, and events from all across the great country of America. The Out of the Norm Show, where the stories are all about you.
Hello, welcome to the Governor's Mansion, or as the Governor and I say, welcome to the People's House. This house belongs to the people of Arkansas, and Mike and I, the Governor, have the privilege of living here.
You never know where I'm going to show up. Mrs. Beebe, thank you so much for having us in.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you here.
Well, this is very exciting to be in a house like this. I mean, there are beautiful historic homes all over America that have a great heritage, but this has some really colorful history and story too, doesn't it?
It does, and I'm anxious to share it with you.
You've had a lot of fun living here so far?
We have had a lot of fun, yes.
Well, it's been fun for us that you're here too. That's been good for us all.
Thank
hey, we're
you.
going to go and sit down and have a little chat and tell you all about the Governor's Mansion on the Out of the Norm Show, because today, as we always say, the story's all about you.
Can you imagine your life without clean water? We may take clean water for granted, but 1 billion people in developing nations suffer from the clean water crisis each day. They don't have clean water to drink or to bathe in. What if your clean water was suddenly gone? Generosity Water can turn $10 into 20 years of clean water for one person. Help us change the world. GenerosityWater.org.
Norm, what you see here right now is the new fountain that's in front of the Governor's Mansion. This was just installed last April and May. It is an exact replica of the fountain that sits in front of the old State House, which, if you walk straight down Center Street, which dead ends right here at the front gate of the Governor's Mansion, you can see the other fountain at in front of the old State House. Our idea was to make bookend fountains. The Governor's Mansion and the old State House actually face each other. But the new fountain welcomes thousands of visitors that come to the Governor's Mansion every year, and will welcome more visitors for many, many years to come. We're very proud of it and glad to have it here.
Well, I get the opportunity to visit in one of the most famous houses in Arkansas. It's the Governor's Mansion right here in Little Rock with the Governor's wife, Mrs. Ginger Beebe, and I really appreciate you having us here, as I said earlier. But this house is such a pleasant place to be. It feels homey when you walk in.
Well, and that's what we hope it is to the people that come. They have a sense of home, and they feel very welcomed when they come to events or to meetings here.
Now, a lot of events are held in the building, not just in the historic Governor's Mansion itself, but in the area here.
There are small receptions and, of course, dinner in the state dining room, but most of our events are in the Grand Hall, which seats 220 for dinner. And those are mostly nonprofit groups having events here, but that's in another part of the house.
There seems to be a simple sophistication about the house. It is comfortable, as you said, and because of all the color and the different kinds of furniture we find. But the paintings really add a lot of grandeur to the room, subdued grandeur, if I might.
Well, they do. Most of the art in the house itself has some historical value to the history of the house. The art that's in the atrium and in the Grand Hall is art that I've chosen along with our administrator, Ron Maxwell. They're by Arkansas artists. We have many talented artisans in our state, and so we've chosen some of their work to showcase.
From around the state?
From around the state, yes.
Wow. Does that exhibit change on a regular basis?
It does. We'll meet someone, or someone will come to an event and they're an artist and they'll show us their work, and we'll display some of their work, and it changes every 6 months, every year.
Now the house is not that old.
61 years old.
61 years old. That's young.
It is young.
That's almost
a
new house.
But, you know, the mansion, until 1950, there was not a governor's mansion in Arkansas.
Right.
And a woman by the name of Agnes Bass Shin, visiting with some of her friends, they were amazed that there was not a governor's mansion. And so she started in 1945 really working the legislature for them to appropriate money to build a governor's mansion. It took several years, and they had to go back, ask for more money, but in 1950, Sid McMath was the first resident of the governor's mansion.
In 1950?
In 1950.
Wow. Been a while ago, 60 years ago.
Yes.
But it's still a young house considering other historic buildings around the area. Wow. But now, these are the rooms, the living room, the state dining room, those are all open to the public on regular tours, though, aren't they?
We have tours on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we do ask that you call to make a reservation. Right. Sometimes we may have a luncheon, and so we may ask you to do it on a Thursday if we're having a luncheon on a Tuesday, because if we're having an event here, you cannot really tour the whole home.
Right. Now, the private residence is upstairs.
It's upstairs.
But do you still use the downstairs when nobody's home?
No. No, we really don't.
You just kind of, that's home.
It's home upstairs. I consider this really the public rooms, and I feel more comfortable upstairs, where I can spill something and not have to work it out.
Scream at the right football team.
Right.
All of that stuff.
Yes.
So is life pretty casual for you here on occasion? Do you have a casual life here, or are you guys always busy?
Oh, I think we're always busy. We do have downtime, but there seems to always be something going. If it's not in the mansion, it may be out on the grounds. It's a busy place.
All the time?
All the time.
You have a staff of...
Oh, I don't know. We have a lot of staff. We have inside staff, outside staff. You know, there are those that take care of the grounds and those that take care of the mansion inside. It's a large staff.
When you first moved into the mansion, that's been 10 years ago now, right?
No.
Not quite?
No, this is our 5th year.
5th year? Oh, okay. Well, see, I'm not from
Well,
I need to do my homework a
the
little
governor
better.
has 4 years as a term.
Right. So
and we're in the first year of his 2nd term.
Right, right.
Yes.
I came here after the fact.
Okay.
But it's been exciting, though, to watch his administration work, not just for the people of Arkansas, but the thing that I was most impressed with is how in touch y'all seem to be with the folks in our state. I mean, this is not a lofty place. This is where somebody who works for the state lives. It's different. It doesn't have that. Do you understand where I'm going with that?
Some, I guess, maybe historical homes in some places are maybe cold. And this is a very inviting, or we hope it's a very inviting and warm place. One of the things that coming to the governor's mansion for several years, because Mike was in the legislature for 20 years, he was a state senator.
Right.
And so we were both here on numerous occasions before we actually moved in. And one of the things that made me feel so warm and welcomed here was being greeted at the door by Hillary Clinton at the time.
Oh, wow.
And so that's something that I wanted to do, is for either myself or the governor to stand at the door to welcome people, to say, this is your house. This belongs to the people of Arkansas, and we want you to come, enjoy it, take advantage of what is here.
Wow. So you never take for granted the great opportunity y'all have to live here.
That's right.
It's a really neat blessing.
Yes.
Well,
yes,
it's been phenomenal for the state, too, I know, in a lot of different ways. Nothing else a man we trust. We're not going to politic today.
He is a good man. Yes.
He is. I like him. I like him. I think that's the best word about it.
He is a good man.
You know, Mrs. Beebe, as we look around the house, and in particular in the traditional rooms, the state dining room, the living room, and the library, there's some wonderful art pieces that seem to depict a lot about Arkansas. And I know they all have to have a story and a history, especially this fellow looking over our shoulder here.
Yes, and this is James Miller, and he was the first territorial governor. Now, he was a friend of Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Nathaniel wrote about him in the Scarlet Letter, and he called him the governor from the Wild West Territory. But it's not so much of who he is and what he was to Arkansas, it's who painted the portrait of Miller, and it was painted by Samuel Morse, who later invented the Morse code.
Oh, the telegraph.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So
he was a portrait artist. Yes.
I didn't know that.
And there are many governor's mansions who have portraits by Samuel B. Morse.
Wow. And you have some others too. I mean, there's a general over here.
We have General Izard here, who was a second territorial governor, and Izard County was named after him. That's an early 1800s painting there. And then behind you here is William Woodruff, and he was the founder of the Arkansas Gazette. And as Woodruff County is named after him.
So a little bit of all of Arkansas is represented here.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's lovely. Are most of these from private collections that are on loan?
All of these in the house are on loan from the Art Center.
Okay, so you'll get, that's why there's an eclectic collection here.
Yes.
So from French to Chinese.
Well, there is. In the foyer, there is a painting, and we searched for this one. I wanted the paintings here to have some historic value here and to tell the story. And so we have the painting of the first elected governor, who was James Sevier Conway. And then on the opposite wall is a painting of Sid McMath, who of course was the first governor that lived in the mansion. And that painting of Sid McMath was done by his wife. And it's an older painting. It's of him in the 80s, age 80. But still, it was the first governor to live in here. So we have the first elected and then the first who actually lived in the home.
And then the first period.
And then we have the, yes.
On the others.
Very much.
Well, they add a interesting personality to the building.
They do.
They do.
They really do.
And as we look around at the other rooms, I know the library, I found that to be a very interesting room.
It is. But before we go to the library, I want to tell you about the clock that is here.
Oh, okay.
The oldest and the most valuable piece of furniture here is the grandfather clock. And it was made in Waterford, Ireland, 1770. And it was given by the Cherry family in honor of Governor Cherry. And it still works.
Wow,
Still
it's right here in the
shines.
living room.
It is right here. So we're very fortunate to have that. The library, which originally, when the plans for the house were made, it was designed to be a screened-in porch. But Anne McMath, she was a real visionary, and she knew that there needed to be another room, a room for meetings, conferences. So they enclosed the room, and it was called the East Conference Room. When the governor and I moved in, there were all these bookshelves, but they had no books. So we were able to get on loan Bill and Hillary Clinton's personal reading collection.
Ooh.
And they are books that were collected when he was the 42nd governor and when he was the 42nd president. So now we have all of those books, and they're either about Arkansas or they're by Arkansas authors. So we are so pleased to have it. It really fills the shelves there, and we have so many people come through who were some authors, and they'll pick up their book and see there was an inscription written to either Bill or Hillary. So that's a wonderful addition. And so it's the library now. It's not an East Conference room. It's a library because it has books.
It's a beautiful room, too.
Two pictures here in the library that I want you to see. And one of them is probably the first house that was on this property. And it was the home of William Fulton. Now, he was the last territorial governor. And his house was called Rosewood. And the fence around it was replicated around the vegetable garden. But it's a very old shotgun type house. And then below that is a picture of the Arkansas School for the Blind, which sat on this property.
Right.
And when it was torn down, because there was a new school built, they salvaged the bricks. And those bricks were used to build the house, the governor's mansion.
What was the biggest surprise? You'd been in and out of the governor's mansion a lot of times, but when you came in as the first lady, what was the one moment that you went, wow, we're really here?
That's hard.
There's probably been a lot of wow moments, haven't there?
Well, I was very comfortable with the home. Of course, I had never stayed here, but had been all over the home, and so I felt comfortable there. I think it was the grand hall and the addition and what it meant in what we could provide for the people of Arkansas to use, and that was a little overwhelming.
Norm, this is the Grand Hall staircase runner, and as with many other things that we have in the Grand Hall here, a lot of it is connected to the symbolic features of the state of Arkansas. The rug here, of course, you see the centerpiece of it are the last names of each one of the governors that have actually lived in the governor's mansion since it was opened in 1950, starting with Governor Sid McMath at the bottom, and going all the way up to present Governor Beebe. As you can tell, we have some blanks on up there that I think we figured out we can go another 70 years or so if each governor serves a normal 2-year term. But some of the features that we have on the rug include the apple blossom. The apple blossoms are the official state flower of Arkansas, and they are woven into the rug there. In the center of the rug, diamonds are very important to our state, of course, and in the center there is a diamond which also mimics the diamond on the Arkansas state flag. In the center of the diamond is the mockingbird. Of course, the mockingbird is the official state bird of our state, and around the diamond there are 25 stars. There again, the number 25 is important to our state because Arkansas was the 25th state admitted to the Union. So, as you can tell, the runner has lots of significance for the state and is an appropriate piece to be here in the Grand Hall, which is the center of the state's entertaining. This is the seal of the great state of Arkansas, which is the centerpiece of the Grand Hall floor. It was laser cut into the floor when the Grand Hall was built in 2003 using the hardwoods from 15 indigenous Arkansas hardwood trees. Of course, the Great Seal has lots of symbolism of the state of Arkansas incorporated into it, including the sword for justice and the Lady of Mercy on this side. There's symbols of industry and commerce and agriculture on the Great Seal. The wall sconces that you see on either side of the fireplace in the Grand Hall, these are miniature versions of the Arkansas chandelier. They only have 6 candles on them, but here again they have the diamond-shaped prisms on them as well as a bronze pine cone in the center. There are also beaded crystal apple blossoms, but the central feature of the wall sconces, if you'll notice very close to the bottom of the basket, there's a black star that hangs from the wall sconce, and in the center of the black star is a genuine Arkansas diamond.
Not only is the house beautiful on the inside, but surrounding outside the grounds are just beautiful. It's what, 8 acres here?
8.5 acres, yes.
Right here, almost in downtown Little Rock.
Right here in the center, yes. But the gardens are beautiful, and they were a P. Allen Smith design, and they had just started the landscape project when we moved in. In fact, it was dirt in the back yard of the mansion we moved in. But it's a beautiful garden, and there are wonderful areas for entertaining. You know, it added another level for us to host events here. And we have 2 really special areas. The vegetable garden, which is maintained by the Pulaski Master Gardeners, and the herb garden, which is maintained by the National Herb Society. Now, the herb garden is one of my favorites, and I think it's a favorite of children when they come. When you walk through the herb garden, you can smell, you can feel, there's such touch to some of the herbs, and you can taste some of them. And so when the children will go through and they'll touch all the herbs, and then they'll write me letters about their favorite part was the smell garden, they call it.
The smell garden.
The smell garden. But something that I did 2 years ago was, because it was my favorite, and I would walk in the evenings, and because I've been involved with people with disabilities, it occurred to me that a person who was blind or visually impaired, while they cannot enjoy so much in the house because it's so visual, but walking through the herb garden, they can, because there's the touch, there's the taste and the smell. So I created an audio tour for the blind and visually impaired. And so when they come through and they do their tours, it's the expressions on their face, because they're being able to enjoy just what you and I do, only we see it and they feel it, and you know, and smell and touch. So that's been a wonderful addition, you know, to the mansion.
It's all in perspective, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, it's neat. The herb gardens. Are you a cook also? You can go out there.
Oh, we cook. Yeah. Oh, I do. I do. Yes. And our chefs use the herbs and the vegetables, and they will come to us, you know, really late winter and ask, you know, what other vegetables or what other herbs would you like to plant? And they're really easy to work with. And they maintain those gardens. These 2 different societies do, and then we're just able to go out there and harvest, and it's good. So there's always something fresh on the menu here.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Always.
The state dining room is an interesting room. It's kind of a subdued, dark room, but there have been some interesting things go on in there, haven't there?
There are a lot of stories. And when we talk about stories, I want you to see this book.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Perfect
a book.
place to talk about the book.
This was a book that was really conceived by, I don't know, I guess Mike and I talking about the history. There is some history, even though the home is not that old, there's history. And, you know, we lose people in time. So we wanted a book written about the families that have lived in the mansion. So John Gill, who is a wonderful author, wrote this book. And it's the stories of the families that have lived in the mansion. And it's not divided, it's divided by subject matter. So there's a chapter on pets. There's just a chapter on the children. So it's a really interesting book. It's full of pictures, and that's what's the best. We really were able to go back and talk to relatives of past governors and get pictures that really tell the stories.
How difficult is it to have a pet if you live here?
Well, it's not that difficult. We have a dog. We have a dog, but our dog is outside. I don't feel that the public rooms are the public, and pets shouldn't be allowed here because we have such expensive. I mean, this is a Persian rug that was donated during the Rockefeller administration, and it is valued over $250,000 now. So I couldn't really have my dog come in here and sit. I would be very uncomfortable with that.
I almost want to go barefoot on that.
We have wonderful grounds, and there's plenty of area for a dog to roam.
Let's go to that state dining room again. I want to talk about that room. What are some of the interesting things about it? I saw the silver pieces in there.
Beautiful silver. It is the USS Arkansas silver that was on the battleship. And, you know, when each state that has a battleship, normally the state will purchase silver to go on that ship. And so Arkansas did in 1919. Now, it took several years to raise enough money. And the silver was made from, came from Gorham in Rhode Island. And, I mean, it's a beautiful set. There's 71 pieces, but I think now we only have 62 that through time some have been lost. There are a few pieces that are on exhibit in other museums. But it's beautiful, you know, and there's a Chippendale case that houses most of it. And when the ship was decommissioned in 1946, then the silver was given to the state of Arkansas, and it made its home here in the governor's mansion.
What kind of events go on in that room now?
State dinners.
Which means?
State dinners. The governor entertaining, you know, maybe somebody that's looking at us for economic development, or maybe some doctors, some medical teams that are trying to recruit, you know, some foreign dignitaries too, all a part of economic development. And, you know, it's a good tool to bring someone in, and as the governor says, give them a little hot tea and try to entice them to invest in Arkansas.
Well, it's a great place to invest in. It really is a land of opportunity. We found that to be true just by bringing our show here and starting it here.
Good.
We chose Arkansas.
Good.
Could have been Texas, could have been Virginia, could have been North Carolina.
Well, we're glad you're here.
But we chose Arkansas because we feel it to be where our heart and our values are.
It is.
It's great.
It is. And we're a beautiful state. You know, there's mountain, there's rivers, there's hunting, there's fishing, there's golf.
What do y'all get to participate in when you have some downtime and you're ready to go out?
Downtime?
No such thing. Not the last 5 years.
The governor likes to fish and golf, and I really like to garden. They don't let me garden a lot around here, but I do get to pull weeds. I trim on roses.
But it sounds like with a busy schedule, when you can get a few minutes, you like to do those things. That isn't something you can give a weekend to, right?
No. Just to read, be quiet, to, you know, we have grandchildren and children, and so they all come visit, and they'll bring their friends, and that's fun for them.
Yeah. So you like the grandma life, the cosmopolitan grandma life?
I do.
She doesn't like her grandma, that's for sure.
I have 7 grandchildren.
Wow.
Like you.
All right. 7 of them.
Now, the back of the mansion.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The atrium, as we call it, and it's where the new addition met the old addition. There's a balcony across there, which, you know, we came to events here, and it was a wonderful balcony to look out into the yard. It had so many trees there, but the tornado that went through in 99 destroyed so much of it. That's the reason now that they could build the Grand Hall. They didn't have to cut down any trees. The tornado took care of that. But the balcony back there is where in 1992 that Bill Clinton announced that Al Gore would be his vice presidential running mate. Wow. So there's a lot of history there. There's a smaller balcony above that one that I have a table and 2 chairs, and the governor and I will sit and have breakfast on Saturday mornings or read the newspaper on a rainy day because it's an atrium, has a glass ceiling. It's being outside, but you're inside protected from the weather.
Hey, we mentioned the public rooms, which are downstairs. That's the living room and the rooms that we've been seeing. But your private quarters, does it really turn into home? I mean, is it a place you can go barefoot? And you mentioned earlier you could spill something there. But what is life like as a family living in this house? Do you cook
I was going to say, well, it's normal. You know, when we go upstairs, we have our own furniture and other things. And I do my own laundry. And I cook for the governor. However, the governor eats a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But we do. Now, during the week, we're really busy. There's lunch, there's dinners, you know, whether they're here in the mansion or out somewhere across the state. On weekends, we primarily cook for ourselves. And the governor likes to cook, and he likes to get in the kitchen. And I'll run up and down the stairs. There's 41 stairs from our private residence down to the basement where the laundry room is. So I get my exercise running up and down the stairs to do the laundry.
That's funny. So you do your own laundry, you live a normal life as much as you can.
We do, but it's public.
Are you able to turn the pressure of the public life off, or do you feel the pressure from it?
No, I don't really feel so much pressure from it.
Not stressed about it?
I only get stressed when I do things like an interview. That I get to speaking.
If this is stressed, you're the most relaxed
This is
person.
my stress. Speaking in front of groups is my stress.
But you do a lot of that.
I do. It just is something that I accepted I must do in this role.
Well, you're fulfilling it well.
Thank you.
And all of the volunteerism that you're doing. I mean, you were talking about the disabled children. There's a lot of other charities that you work with in the state, too, isn't
yes,
there?
there are.
What are your specific programs that you're working on right now?
You know, I think women and children primarily is my focus. I did a mental health tour talking with families of children that suffer from mental illness. And, you know, anyone with a disability, I think I just have a soft heart for. I've always been a volunteer, and I hope to one day go back home to Searcy and do some more volunteer work.
And the state, I mean, you get around all of the state. There's a lot of differences in different parts of the state, though,
There
isn't
are.
there? I mean, El Dorado is not anything like Bentonville.
No, but that's what makes our state so unique is it is different. You know, and it's a wonderful state with just a group of different people, and we're all there to live and work and help each other. You know, Arkansans are wonderful for helping.
They are. We've seen that living up in Bentonville, seeing what happened in Joplin.
Yes.
And the Arkansas people who rallied to the point the very next day and ready to help.
Oh, they are.
And also from people down here in Little Rock also help from an administrative
from all over.
end. But we have to do that, don't we?
We do. We do. I mean, I think that shows what kind of heart we have when we're willing to help our neighbors.
And we don't see the tragedies that we've had, Albert Pike and some of the other things that are so negative, but we've seen the state rally back behind those things,
Yes.
not only to fix the problem, but to reinforce that we're here to help when it's
Right.
time.
Yes, we're a great state.
It's
And
good.
we're glad you're here.
Well, we're glad to be here, and I thank you for allowing us to come into your home and our home.
Your home, yes.
And visit. It's a lovely place, and if you're ever down in Little Rock, it's something you want to make a reservation for. Well, I hope you'll tell the governor I appreciate you allowing us to have the time here as well,
I will.
and we certainly appreciate you, and I know we're going to be seeing you down the road somewhere,
Yes, we will.
because we always will, but thank
Yes.
you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, the times that we spend in looking at American history or our state histories or individual stories that we might have, they're all part of the American spirit. And that's not epitomized any greater than it is right here in the Governor's Mansion in Little Rock, Arkansas. We hope that you'll take a look at some of the places in your life and see the value in those little buildings, those little events, those little stories, because that's what makes up history. Because as we all know, every story we tell, it's all about you. Thanks for joining us at the Governor's Mansion. This is Norm Allen with you on the Out of the Norm Show, because the stories really are about you, and we will see you again very soon.
true. Like loving the South and me just loving you.